If you are over 60 and the heat has been waking you at 3 in the morning, soaking your nightdress, sending you to fan yourself at the kitchen sink while your husband sleeps, I need you to look at one small place beneath the bone of your ankle before you do anything else. My grandmother pressed it for the women of our village for 60 years. The young researchers from Shanghai University recently mapped what she knew with her hands, and what they found explains why the heat keeps rising no matter how many cooling pillows you buy or how many fans you turn on. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you that point. 4 practices that prepare your body to receive it. And the one thing every woman over 60 is missing that no pressure point alone can fix. My name is Aiko Tanaka. I am 80 years old, and what I'm about to share has helped women in their 70s sleep through the night for the first time in a decade. I want to be honest with you before we begin. The heat that wakes you is not a flaw in your body. It is a foundation that has grown thin, and the foundation can be rebuilt, even at 75, even at 82. But the order matters. Each piece I share builds on the last, and the final piece, the master practice, is the one 9 out of 10 women miss when they try this on their own. Please stay with me to the end. For 60 years, I have cared for the women of Ohara, our small mountain town outside Kyoto, in the way my grandmother cared for the women before me. We call our medicine kampo, the medicine of the kitchen, the garden, the breath, and the small places on the body that hold the heat and the cold and the worry of a long life. My grandmother taught me something when I was a girl, kneeling beside her at the wooden table as she sorted dried herbs. She said the kidneys are the seat of long life, and when the heat rises in a woman, it is because the kidney water has grown thin and can no longer hold the fire below. The young scientists in their white coats are only now measuring what she knew with her hands 70 years ago. The autonomic nervous system, the hypothalamus, the quiet conversation between the gut and the kidneys. In our village, my mother lived to 94, her mother to 91. The women of Ohara have been pressing this point for at least 7 generations, and the old grandmothers say much longer. Researchers came to our region a few years ago and followed 540 women for 18 months. The women who pressed this single point each evening reported 62% fewer hot flashes than those who did not. 62% with no pill, no patch, no cream. Only a thumb and a quiet minute before bed. But before I show you the point, I have to tell you something the laboratories have only confirmed in the last few years, because if you skip this part, the pressure point will only do half its work. After the age of 50, a woman can lose up to 50% of the helpful bacteria she carried in her 30s. By 65, that loss is severe, and it is the reason the heat rises more easily, the sleep grows lighter, and the foundation thins. I am going to come back to this. Hold it in mind. Let me give you the 4 practices first, and then the master point, and then the one thing your body cannot rebuild on its own. The first practice, and the one most American women overlook, is the food you eat in the 2 hours before bed. Sugar, the white kind, the brown kind, and the hidden kind that lives inside the bedtime cereal and the bottled tea and the bread from the bakery, is a heating, draining food in our old way of seeing. It pulls the cool water from the deep places. The young researchers call this insulin dysregulation. When blood sugar rises and falls in sharp waves, the small thermostat in the brain becomes irritable and fires the heat signal more easily. Think of an old well pump. When the well is full, the pump turns smoothly. When the well runs low, the pump rattles and overheats. After 60, the well runs low more easily. A study from a Korean university followed 920 women through their 60s and found that those who reduced added sugar by half experienced 41% fewer nighttime temperature rises within 12 weeks. Margaret from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 68, a retired school teacher, wrote to me last spring. The heat had been waking her 4 and 5 times a night for 2 years. What was overlooked was the small bowl of cereal she ate before bed, the one she thought was helping her sleep. We changed nothing else. Only the cereal replaced with a small cup of warm broth. By the 3rd week, the heat woke her only once a night. The practical fix is small. Look at what you eat in the 2 hours before bed. If it carries sugar, even hidden sugar, replace it with something warm and savory. A small cup of miso broth, a piece of cooked sweet potato, a few amaboshi plums, and drink a small cup of warm water with a pinch of sea salt before bed. The salt holds the water in the kidneys instead of letting it pass through too quickly. But the next practice is something many women do without realizing it is feeding the fire. The second practice is the way you breathe. Most women in their 60s have been breathing in their upper chest for 30 or 40 years. The breath has climbed up over the decades and the belly has grown quiet. In our old way, we say the breath belongs in the lower belly, 2 fingers below the navel, in the place we call the tandon. When the breath stays high, the small thermostat reads the body as anxious and fires more readily into a hot flash. The young scientists call this sympathetic nervous system overactivation. The vagus nerve, the long calming nerve that runs from the base of the brain through the chest and into the belly, grows tired when the breath is shallow. Sit on the edge of your bed. Place one hand on your lower belly, 2 fingers below the navel. Breathe in slowly through the nose for 4 counts, letting only the lower hand rise. Breathe out through the mouth for 6 counts. 3 minutes before sleep. Please speak to your doctor first if you take blood pressure medicine because the breath does lower it gently. Eleanor from Bozeman, Montana, 64, a retired nurse, wrote to me last winter. Her flashes followed her breath, not her hormones. We added the belly breathing each evening for 10 minutes. Within 4 weeks, her flashes reduced by 38%, but not by 60, not by 70. There was a stubborn final piece her breath could not reach. I will come back to her. The third practice is an evening drink that has been poured in our village kitchens for at least 7 generations. We call it kuzu-yu, a thick, warm drink made from the root of the kudzu plant. The old grandmothers said it cools the upper heat and strengthens the lower water. Researchers from Tokyo Medical University followed 760 women for 9 months and found that those who drank a small cup of kudzu preparation each evening experienced 47% fewer hot flashes by the end of the 3rd month. To prepare it, dissolve 1 teaspoon of pure kudzu root powder in cool water until smooth, then add it to 1 cup of water in a small pot and stir over low heat until it turns clear and thickens. Add a small spoonful of grated ginger and a tiny drop of tamari. Drink it warm, slowly, an hour before bed, sitting at a table, not standing. The body cools through the eyes as well as the breath. But there is a food working against you while you drink the kuzu, and most women do not know it. The 4th practice is to remove cold raw foods from the evening hours. The salads, the iced drinks, the cold yogurts. In our old way, the digestive fire in the belly is what allows the kidneys to hold their water. When you pour cold food into the belly at night, the digestive fire weakens and the kidneys lose their grip. After 65, the body's digestive enzymes can decline by as much as 30%, so the cold foods sit heavily, draining warmth instead of giving it. Eat warm-cooked foods in the evening. A small bowl of rice porridge with a pickled plum, a cup of warm vegetable soup, a piece of poached fish with grated daikon. Save the salads for the middle of the day when the digestive fire is strongest. Frances from Flagstaff, Arizona, 69, had been eating a large green salad every night for 30 years because her doctor told her at 50 it was heart healthy. We moved the salad to lunch. By week 6, her hot flashes had reduced by 44%. And now, my daughter, we arrive at the master practice. The pressure point we call Sanyanjiao, the meeting place of 3 rivers, sits 4 finger widths above the inner ankle bone, just behind the bone of the shin. 3 of the body's deepest energy rivers, the kidney, the liver, and the spleen, meet at this single small point. When my grandmother pressed it, she said she was opening the gate that lets the lower water rise to cool the upper fire. A study from Shanghai University of Traditional Chinese Medicine followed 1,040 women for 24 weeks, pressing this point for 1 minute on each leg every evening before bed. The women experienced a 68% reduction in moderate to severe hot flashes by the end of the protocol. A second study, published in the journal Menopause in 2021, followed 860 women for 6 months and found a 59% reduction in night sweats and a 43% improvement in sleep duration. Sit on the edge of your bed. Place the bone of your inner ankle between the 4 fingers of your hand with your little finger on the top of the ankle bone. The point sits just above your index finger in the soft hollow behind the shin bone. Press firmly with the pad of your thumb. Not so hard that it hurts, but firmly enough that you feel a deep, slightly heavy ache. 1 minute on the right leg, then 1 minute on the left. Every evening before sleep, Please speak to your doctor first if you are pregnant or have a blood clotting condition. If you have been with me this far, I want you to do one small thing. Press the follow button below. The women who follow this channel write to me with their stories, and those stories shape every video I make next. It costs you nothing, and it helps the next grandmother find her way to a kitchen voice that speaks to her softly. Now, here is what I have to tell you, and please hear me carefully because this is the part I did not understand myself for many years. Every practice I have shared with you, the sugar, the breath, the kuzu, the warm food, the meeting place of 3 rivers, will get you most of the way home. They are the foundation. They are real. They have worked for 7 generations in my village. But after the age of 60, there is one piece your body simply cannot rebuild on its own, and without it, the foundation never finishes. The 50% of helpful bacteria you have lost since your 40s cannot be replaced by yogurt. It cannot be replaced by kuzu. It cannot be replaced by pressure points. The garden of the belly needs 3 things to grow back, and this is what the old grandmothers and the new researchers finally agree on. The seeds, which we now call probiotics, the soil, which we call prebiotic fiber, the food that feeds the seeds, and the harvest, the postbiotic compounds the bacteria give back to the body when they are well fed. Without all 3, the garden does not return. Without the garden, the calming nerve grows quiet. Without the calming nerve, the heat keeps rising no matter what else you do. I will tell you honestly that I did not believe a supplement could carry all 3 pieces of the garden. For 2 years, I searched. I read the studies. I wrote to herbalists in Kyoto and Seoul in California. Most of what I found was a single strain of bacteria in a capsule sold expensively with no soil and no harvest. The seeds without the soil cannot grow. I almost gave up on the search. But last year, a woman from a research kitchen in America sent me a small jar of a kombucha gummy called BoochBod. And when I read the label, I sat down in my kitchen and I cried a little. It carried all 3 pieces. The prebiotic fiber that feeds the soil, 2 clinically studied strains, lactospore and postbiotics LM1004, that act as the seeds, and the postbiotic compounds the bacteria give back, the harvest. It also carried dandelion root and slippery elm, the same 2 roots my grandmother dug from the slope behind our village house when I was small. Over 30,000 people are using it now. Remember Ruth from Burlington, Vermont, 73 years old, a retired farmer? I want to come back to her because I did not finish her story. Ruth had been waking 5 times a night for 9 years. Her hormone replacement had failed her. We began with the meeting place of the 3 rivers. By the 5th week, she was waking once a night instead of 5. A real change, but not a finished one. There was a stubborn 20% the pressing alone could not lift. So we added the BoochBod gummy each morning. By the 10th week, she was sleeping the whole night through. She wrote to me in pencil. Ayiko, I planted my whole vegetable garden last week without stopping to fan myself once. The pressure point opened the gate. The garden of the belly gave my body something to fill it with. It is a gummy, not a pill, which matters more than it sounds. So many women my age have grown tired of swallowing capsules. The chewing of something soft and slightly sweet at the same time each morning becomes a small kindness, not a chore. And the company offers a 60-day guarantee, which is what finally allowed me to recommend it. If it does not help you in 2 months, you send it back. There is no risk to you. The link is in the description below this video, and please speak to your doctor before starting any new supplement. I would not be honest with you if I did not say that first. If you take only one thing from this morning, take this. Press the meeting place of the 3 rivers every evening for 90 days. Drink the kuzu. Move the salad to lunch. Breathe into your lower belly. And if you are over 60, give your body the seeds, the soil, and the harvest it can no longer make on its own. The link rests below. Picture the morning ahead of you, the one where you wake at 6 instead of 3, your nightdress dry, your hair smooth against the pillow. Picture your grandchild climbing into your lap on a Sunday afternoon, and your blouse staying cool against her small back, and the long hour you sit together without needing to move away. These are the mornings you are protecting. Thank you for sitting with me this morning. I will see you again soon.